Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be redrafting the last three 49ers drafts, regrading. There are a couple stinkers in here, I will admit, but we're going to look past that. Let me know who you guys got in the Super Bowl as well. Hope you guys are having a good Super Bowl week. Unfortunately, I think I'm rolling with the Seahawks, which would mean that they would win in Santa Clara, but all the more motivation to go out in free agency, land a great player or players, as well as in the draft. Also, let me know if you guys are making any food. I think I'm in charge of the desserts over here for my little Super Bowl get together. So, going to be making some cinnamon roll bites and nachos. Anyways, enough talking about food. Let's get into it. So, the 2023 NFL Draft. Jair Brown is our first pick. Again, at this point, we're still recovering from trading 3 firsts for Trey Lance. So our first pick is in the 3rd round, and you take Jair Brown from Penn State, who was a player I proposed that we cut last video. The thing about him is he had a good rookie season, but has regressed since then. And he was a ball hawk in college, but it never really translated. Like, we've seen some flashes. The Carolina game this year, he played pretty good. He picked off Mahomes in the Super Bowl. But he is more or less a liability in pass coverage, and he is an okay run defender. We take a look at his PFF grade here. Let's see this. We have Jair Brown right here. He is slightly below average safety, is better in run defense, and his coverage grade is also below average. Again, has regressed every single year. I wouldn't hate necessarily keeping him as a depth piece, although I really think we need to solidify the free safety role. We just need a coverage safety. That way Malik Mustafa can be more malleable and be deployed in pass rush as well, which is, he's, again, a heat-seeking missile. Now, so for that, I would give him a C. I'm just going to leave it at that. Jake Moody, right off the bat, is going to get an F. You never draft a kicker in the 3rd round. And for him to miss as many kicks as he did was absurd, to say the least. Of course, he went to Chicago this year and started hitting kicks. And he has a weird injury history for a kicker as well. So just an F for Jake Moody. Cameron Latou also is going to get an F. He is a 3rd round receiving tight end. I think the idea was that he was going to be opposite Kittle, and they were going to try to get a receiving tight end too. The thing is, he never played a snap, and he offered nothing in run blocking. He's on the Eagles now, and he does play some special teams, but to not play a snap in 2 years for the team, and to not climb the depth chart, that is worthy of an F grade. We have Darrell Luter here as our 5th round pick from Southern Georgia. I have a lot to say about him because, man, there's been some interesting plays. Think the 2nd Super Bowl against the Chiefs, where he was running on special teams and kicked the ball, and then Ray McLeod couldn't pick it up. Just a terrible moment. And this year, too, when in the divisional game against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago, when Renardo Green got pulled and Darrell Luter stepped up and got absolutely cooked. Of course, JSN's pretty much the best receiver in the game, one of them, but kind of a funny play. We see here his PFF grade. He's a good run defender, but he plays special teams, which is kind of his saving grace. As a wide corner, you could find it better in the draft or in free agency. I'm almost sure of it. And for that reason, I think I'm going to give Darrell Luter a C-, because he has been a full-time starter or rotational starter and offers value on the special teams, but not much more than that. Of course, Robert Beal is our 5th round pick. And this guy is somebody who struggled to stay healthy and just struggled to get on the field in general. He was a guy who got like 11 sacks in 2 years at Georgia, so was super productive, but missed a lot of this season. played last season but just didn't offer anything. He's had 1 sack in 3 years. There's just not a lot to say. For the 5th round, he's offered no production and hasn't really improved in 3 years. So I think for that reason, I'm going to give him a D-. Now, probably the best player we selected in this draft was D. Winters with our 6th round pick, 216. He racked up 100 tackles this year. He started off really strong, kind of fizzled out towards the middle and end of the season, and then I think suffered a little injury. He's my ideal pairing with Fred Warner. We saw it to start off the season. He's an okay coverage linebacker, but a better run stopper. And we take a glance at his PFF rating here. D. Winters, kind of average across the board, abysmal first season, but pass rush grade is okay. He's like middle of the pack for defenders and an above average coverage grade. Again, 100 tackles, so produced quite a bit that way. For this reason, I'm going to give D. Winters a B-, especially considering he's in the 6th round. I could see the argument for pushing him to a B, but I think B- is fine, and he has shown promise. Again, ideal pairing with Fred Warner. I could see Eric Kendricks getting re-signed, and maybe you can give Grant Wallow another chance too. He showed some flashes, but anyways, on to our 7th round pick, Braden Willis. So he picked 2 tight ends in this draft. The expectation was Latu would be the receiving threat, and Willis would be the run blocker. But Willis, in all honesty, is not the greatest run blocker and doesn't get on the field very much. Like, has also never caught a pass. So Cameron Latu and Braden Willis, our 3rd and 7th round picks, have never caught a pass at tight end. Even if you're a blocking tight end, there is some expectation that you can be a receiving threat. Not a lot to say about him. I think I'd give Braden Willis just a D. Like, he's still on the team. Anyways, on to Ronnie Bell. This was a player a lot of fans hated, honestly, myself included, because he dropped a lot of passes. Weirdly enough, in his rookie season, Ronnie Bell had 3 touchdowns on 6 catches or something funny like that. And he was good enough to make another roster. He's on the Saints now. Caught a touchdown there. Just didn't offer a lot. Never really climbed the depth chart, and never was going to be part of a wide receiving core for us. Was just more of a rotational piece. I think for that reason, I'm also going to give him a D. Again, these are guys that are in the 7th round. You're not expecting a lot, but especially with him, he had a golden opportunity and didn't really take it. Next is Jalen Graham, who is still on the team, and he was actually drafted as a safety, like you guys see, but he is more of a middle linebacker. He played his college ball at Purdue and actually played in the Eagles divisional game, made a couple good plays there. The thing about him is he's vital to our special teams, is a pretty good special teams player, all things considered. Is kind of a net zero, though, actually playing linebacker. We briefly take a look at his PFF. Let me find it. He, again, just a deep depth piece, but even then he does not really get on the field. Here we are. Actually, a pretty good defensive grade, but I think you look at this, it is mainly because of his special teams. Again, actually a very good special teams player. But coupled with this injury history, I think I would give Jalen Graham a C-. So overall, this draft, this 2023 draft, is probably a D. Very bad draft. Did not have a 1st or 2nd, and they really didn't hit on anyone. I mean, you can maybe consider Jair Brown a hit. I definitely don't. I think D. Winters is like the only hit here. And D. Winters is good, but he's not like an exceptional talent. Again, for 6th round, very good player. But let's move on to the 2024 NFL draft. So here we are with the 2024 NFL draft. This draft was a little bit better, all things considered. Obviously, we're starting off with Ricky Pearsall at pick 31. And I kind of have two different grades for him. One for when he's healthy and one for everything else. Like in the first 4 games of the seasons, guys, it was JSN with the most receiving yards, then Puka at second, then Ricky Pearsall at third. I think he is a very good route runner, and he doesn't get a lot of separation, but especially on the in-breakers that he tends to run, he gets enough separation that he has an advantage on the ball and can usually come down with them. It's just his injury history sucks. And it's weirdly only been in the NFL. He didn't have an injury history at Florida or ASU. Of course, the guy got shot his first year, so he kind of gets a pass. But he had this nagging PCL injury that was really annoying. I think he could definitely be a 1,000-yard receiver, but my hope is that we bring in a true wide receiver 1 next to him, and I think he could flourish as a high-end wide receiver 2. I think that would be pretty scary for opposing defenses. Get him in the slot and just let him work, man. Very good receiving grade, top third. Not the best run blocker, but that's not why he was drafted. I still have hope for this guy. I still have a lot of hope for this guy. Next is Renardo Green. He was our second-round DB out of Florida State. He was an interesting case because he had a very good rookie season and then regressed and honestly got cooked quite a bit in coverage this year, especially in zone. Sometimes you would see him and he would just not get to his assignment. He would get there late. Of course, the frustration boiled up with Kyle Shanahan. In the Seahawks game, he got pulled, which is not a good sign. He's a good run defender. Again, he played not exceptional. He played good his rookie season, and again regressed. I don't think he regressed to the point where he's terrible or anything. Of course, also Diamador Lenore takes the left side of the field, and Renardo Green is typically the one guarding the top wide receivers on the other team. So you kind of, as a fan, have to give him grace in that regard. All things considered, though, I would give him a C+ if I'm regrading it right now. Going back to Renardo Green, again, pretty much below average and a big dip this year. Still, based on his rookie year, I've seen some fans mention that he should get traded. I don't think we should deal him. I think we would be better off keeping him. But yeah, C+ is my grade there. Dominic Puny, probably one of the better picks in the last couple years for the Niners. This guy was in camp, pretty much an immediate plug and play. He made the all-rookie team. Is an excellent run blocker, above average pass blocker. He started this year off slow, kind of regressed, and then really brought it back towards the end of the season. Briefly taking a look at his grades. Yeah, had a little bit of a fall off, was 6th last year in guards, 26th this year, so still above average. Played pretty much every snap. The thing with this guy is he plays through injuries, so whether that's what you want or not, he's a gritty player. I'm going to give Dominic Puny, just based off the small bit of inconsistency this year, I'm going to give him a B+, but I wouldn't hate any fans giving him like an A-. I think a B+ is a good rating, though. Malik Mustafa, our safety, strong safety from Wake Forest, heat-seeking missile. I really want the 49ers to pair him with a free safety, good coverage free safety. That is my hope, but anyways, kind of like Renardo Green, had a great rookie campaign and kind of regressed this year. Is not the best coverage safety at all. Is a better run defender, although he even struggled with that a little bit this year. We briefly checked his grade. His pass, actually, I do want to see him deployed more in the pass rush. Obviously, it's not something you'll see a lot of, but Again, super fast. And yeah, I think all things considered, you could give Malik Mustafa, as it stands, a C+ rating. Isaac Garindo is our 4th round pick from Louisville. Was an athletic freak, just insane like measurables, and at the combine or whatever camp he was at, he like topped the charts and pretty much everything. Weirdly though, he got buried in the depth chart this year. I mean, when Brian Robinson came, it was just CMC and B-Rob. And based off the Seahawks game, it seems like Jordan James is pretty much the running back 2 if B-Rob leaves, which is, I don't know if I agree with, because Isaac Garindo came in this rookie year. Again, of course, CMC got injured, but Isaac Garindo put up really respectable numbers, like 5 yards per carry. He got 600 yards and like less than 100 touches, which is insane. Is a good receiving back as well. Took a ball 80 yards to the house, I think, in his rookie year. But again, right now it seems like he's buried in the depth chart. Jordan James looks like he's ahead of him. So based on his play, I want to give him a higher grade, but I think C is a fine grade for him right now. Like, he has stuff to prove. He can climb the depth chart, and I guess we'll revisit this after the season. Jacob Cowling is our 4th round pick. And he is a field stretcher, ironically, just what we need right now, but he can't stay healthy. He's 5'8". He runs a 4.38 in the combine, so very fast. Stretched the field a lot at Arizona, but has only caught 4 passes in 2 years. Dealt with a hamstring injury this year, just like the last. And for him, he just really, this is the year that he needs to make a name for himself with the state of the wide receiver position. And for that reason, especially using a 4th round pick on him, that's a decent amount of capital. I think I'm going to give him a D+ rating. Could be harsh, could be not, but you do want more production. Now, Jarrett Kingston is our 6th round pick from last year. 2 years ago, 2024. And weirdly enough, he's kind of the exception, or he was the exception to our offensive line. He didn't start, but he obviously was a depth piece. He was a pretty good pass blocker compared to a run blocker. I think he's just average or below average at run blocking, but an above average pass blocker, which is kind of weird for our offensive line. He's no longer on the team. In fact, I think he's on Houston, and he completely spelled his name wrong. He found a depth role there. Run blocking grade, again, below average. Good pass blocking grade. Very good pass blocking grade when he was on our team. Again, hard to give him a grade since he's not on our team anymore, but I would honestly say C+. I wish we had him for depth, especially considering Burford is probably going to leave. And I think C+ is a fine grade for him. He'd be a depth piece for pretty much any offensive line, especially an offensive line needy team. Now we move on to Tatum Bethune, TCU, Horned Frogs linebacker, our 7th round pick. The thing about him is he's a decent run defender, just an abysmal pass coverage linebacker, probably the worst one on the team. And I really want a linebacker who's at least decent in pass coverage to match up with Fred Warner. That's why I prefer D. Winters. I think Tatum Bethune is fine for packages where we use 3 linebackers or as a depth piece. He had a great run this season where he had 30 tackles in 2 games and 50 in 5. But yeah, let's quickly taking a glance at his PFF. We're going to go back to the 49ers here. We look here and good run defense grade, again, above average in the top third, which is what you like to see. Just a bad coverage grade, though. regressed quite a bit from last year to this year. I think all things considered, you can give him a C+. You can make the argument maybe for B-, considering he's a 7th round pick, but he just needs to show a little bit more. And it's hard for me to find a world where he is a consistent starter on the team, considering his struggles in pass coverage. However, I don't know. I'd like to revisit this next season and kind of see how that take fares. So let's go to the 2025 NFL Draft. Okay, so of course, the last draft class we are looking at is the most recent one, 2025. Starting off with Michael Williams, our big defensive line edge, whatever you want to refer to him as. Very raw prospect, but one who I like a lot more now than during the season. Kind of looking at some clips, this guy is an exceptional run defender. You look at his pass rushing metrics, and he's one of the worst in the league at that. But then you kind of find a hidden reason, and that's because he was getting doubled at one of the highest rates as a rookie, which shows you how much of a problem he is towards other teams, that they have to scheme up and double him on a lot of the plays. I think he had a rate of like 22% or something insane like that. I don't think he registered enough to have a stat on PFF. Okay, I guess he did. And again, kind of average at most things, but again, this is a guy who I think flashed pretty well throughout the season, and we need to see a season with him functioning with the likes of Bosa, Huff, and everyone else on the defensive line. So for that, I think I would give Michael Williams a B. Could also make the argument for B-. Next is Alfred Collins, our big boy from Texas. I mean, this guy is just an insanely large human being. You look at his measurables, and he is something like 6'5", 340. Think about Alfred Collins. He does a couple things exceptionally well. First off, he is great at batting the ball down, which is something we see a lot more of in today's NFL. And it's something that can flip possessions, so it is needed. It sounds like a small thing, but in all honesty, it is huge because not a lot of people on our defensive line do it. And the other thing is he is an exceptional special teams player. Honestly, I could go out on a whim and say that he and Sky Moore were our two best special teams players, because there were a numerous amount of times where Alfred Collins would get his hands up and block kicks, which we haven't seen in the last however many amount of years. I think that he does struggle with getting to the quarterback. He had 1 sack and isn't the best rush defender. I think he's better at defending the run than getting to the quarterback. In all honesty, I think they gave him our defensive line PFF ratings are really bad. Alfred Collins, his run defense actually was pretty poor. His pass rush grade was not that great. But in all honesty, guys, like looking at the watching the games, I mean, he made a couple of great plays. He forced that fumble against Kyren Williams. And he's a developmental player. I think I'm going to give him a B- grade. And again, great special teams player, great at batting the ball down. It just needs to work on putting the other things together, and I think he can form into a great depth piece or potentially a starter. Next is Nick Martin, pick 75 in the 3rd round. This was our first reach in the draft. He was out of Oklahoma State. He actually had a crazy 140 tackle season. He's a high flyer. He's super speedy as a linebacker. Just couldn't really stay on the field. Actually forced a fumble this year. It's just hard for me to see him starting at linebacker as much as I do like him as a player. And again, this guy was in concussion protocol for 2 months, so I hope he's okay. But struggling to stay on the field, and also sometimes being very inconsistent on the field lends me to give him kind of a tougher rating at D+. But I do have an expectation that he can improve on this grade, and I hope he does. Pick number 100 in the third round is Upton Stout. Probably, again, one of the better picks in the last couple of years. He is awesome. He's a small corner, 5'9", from Western Kentucky. Two things that typically do not improve your draft stock. However, we took him in the third round, and he was solid. He played so much bigger than he was. Kind of think D'Angelo Pons in this draft. He is a heavy hitter too. Very solid player. Broke up some passes. You think the wild card game against the Eagles, he had that great pass breakup against Smitty. We look at his grade very quickly, and he had a actually good pass rush grade too. Obviously, limited amount of snaps. Run defense grade solid. He wraps up too. Very good tackler. Coverage grade obviously is going to be a little bit of a liability in coverage because he's smaller, but I don't think he's that much of a liability. I think he's fine in coverage, and I think we found our nickel corner for years to come. For that, I am going to give Upton Stout a B+. I am very excited to see him in the upcoming season. Next is CJ West. Funny thing about CJ West is he is a little bit of a tweener. He's 6'1". Huge guy, though, but he's 6'1". And I think he's a little bit better at getting to the quarterback than Alfred Collins. Registered a sack in the regular season and a sack in the playoffs. It's just, again, kind of like Alfred Collins, he's a little bit inconsistent. He doesn't play special teams. I think could be a good rotational defensive lineman with the possibility of being a low-end starter later. Again, this was his rookie season. I think he played fine, and for that reason, I'm going to give him a D+. Checking out his PFF rating. Also didn't have a great PFF rating. They were kind of hating on the 49ers defensive lineman. Was admittedly really bad in the run game. Better in pass rush, though, above average. I think that's where he shines. Again, he only registered one sack, but he had a number of hurries this year. Again, he's 6'1", so he is faster than a lot of other... 6'2", 317, so he's faster than a lot of other defensive linemen. And I guess that is both an advantage and detriment sometimes. I would give him a C+. Jordan Watkins was our 4th round rookie wide receiver. Jordan Watkins admittedly was another reach. I think he was potentially on the brink of going undrafted, but he was going to go in the 7th round most likely. Thing with him, he was kind of in the doghouse this season and never found a role in a season where we really needed a wide receiver to step up. Also, kind of faced some injuries as well. I think it was his ankle throughout the season. Had one good play with Purdy. I think he caught 25-yard bomb or something like that. That was his one play of note. I'm going to go and give him a little bit of a harsh rating, but it's with the expectation that he can improve on it, and it's going to be a D+. Also, if you guys have never seen, there's a game in college he played against Arkansas where he absolutely cooked them. I encourage you guys to watch that. Jordan Watkins versus Arkansas. He had something crazy like 5 TDs, 100-plus yards. That was an awesome game. Anyways, I do have faith that he can improve on this rating, and it is a little bit of a harsh rating, but kind of like Nick Martin, I'm giving them both D+ because the 49ers did reach for them, and if that's the case, you do really want to try your best to produce early. Anyways, with pick 147 in the 5th round, we have Jordan James, running back from Oregon. This is a guy who had something like 1,300 yards at Oregon, was super productive, and it seems like, as I mentioned before, he is going to be the RB2, assuming Brian Robinson leaves in free agency. And I think he can play the part. He's a smaller back, but he did show some juice. He had 5 yards per carry in that Seattle game. Again, this was late. Caught a pass. I could see them bringing in someone ahead of him, or just have a friendly competition between Jordan James and Garindo. I wouldn't hate that idea at all. Because Jordan James didn't log a lot of snaps, but I do see the potential in him, I'm going to leave him at a C. And this can go up or down depending on how he plays next season and if he earns that RB2 job. I think that's a fair rating for him. Wonder if they may try to use him in special teams. Probably not, but he is also pretty fast. Marquis Siegel was our second fifth-round pick at pick 160. And immediately he was a rotational starter with our free safeties in that three-man free safety lineup that was Jair Brown, Marquis Siegel, and Jason Pinnock. Again, I cannot emphasize it enough how much I really want us to improve on that position and go ahead and draft a free safety. Marquis Siegel, he showed a couple flashes. He's a better run defender. He is not good in pass coverage at all. And again, like in that Rams game, our rookies came to play. Alfred Collins forced that fumble. Siegel made the stop on 4th and 1 in overtime on Kyren Williams, which is awesome. But those flashy plays were few and far in between. We take a quick glance at his PFF rating. We find him here. Was rated as the worst safety by PFF and one of the worst coverage safeties. Again, average to below average run defender. Out of Kansas State, I think that you gave him the benefit of the doubt in that he was kind of thrown into the fire early. And, of course, one thing you guys have to consider is our secondary would be a lot better if our pass rush got home. But, of course, our pass rush was one of the worst in the league. I think we had the least sacks this year. So, because of that, Marquis Siegel was a starter who immediately played in his rookie season, got benched in the middle, and then kind of came back for the playoffs and late season. I'm going to give him a C, again, with the expectation that he can improve on this, or he can get replaced and kind of become a depth option. At the minimum, compete with Jair Brown if we do decide to keep him. Next is Curtis Rourke from Indiana, originally Ohio. Put together a nice couple seasons. He had something like 30 touchdowns, 5 INTs at Indiana. Interested to see if they do decide to trade Mac Jones, would they grab another quarterback for their second string position, or would they keep Rourke? Are they confident enough in him? I think he should be recovered from his injuries, but that'd be an interesting development to see in the offseason. Of course, again, I can't rank him. He didn't play. Next is Connor Colby, our 7th round pick from Iowa. As they say, always draft an Iowa defensive lineman. There's a couple intriguing ones in this draft that I talked about in my draft target video. The thing about Connor Colby is he is great depth, good depth. He is an above average run blocker, just okay or below average pass blocker. Came in and played a couple games for us this season as a 7th rounder, so that automatically drives his stock up. We take a look at his PFF rating here. Again, not like below average, very below average pass blocker, above average run blocker. I think it's okay for depth. The fact that he came in as a 7th rounder and got snaps will lead me to give him a C+ rating. I think that is fine. I don't think he'll ever become necessarily a starter on this team or in the league, but good depth. And our last pick is Junior Burgeon, and he is very interesting. This was a player from Montana, and he was brought in specifically to be a return man. That was his specialty in college. He took back, I think, 5 punts and 1 kickoff in college. He was decent in the receiving game as well. I think he had a season where he had something like 700 or 800 yards, but he was always going to be a return man. It's hard for me to see him carve out a role despite our wide receiver room. The only way I see him on the team next year is if Sky Moore leaves and he fills in at the return man position. Right now, he's currently on our practice squad. Again, regardless of if it's the 1st or 7th round, ideally you want all these players to make the 53-man roster. So I'm going to give him a harsh rating of D+. But I hope he makes something of himself. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him on the return team as well. And it'll be interesting to see. Again, for all these wide receivers, there is no better time than now for the 49ers to solidify your roster spot. So ultimately, guys, that is going to be the video. Briefly going over the grades. I think this overall draft is probably a C or a C+. I gave Michael Williams a B, Alfred Collins a B-, Nick Martin a D+, Upton Stout a B+, CJ West a C+, Jordan Watkins a D+, Jordan James a C, Marquise Siegel a C, Curtis Rourke unranked, Connor Colby a C+, and Junior Burgeon a D+. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Mock Draft 2.0 is in the works. That is the next video that'll come out. I just wanted to try something different today. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the Super Bowl. And yeah, see you guys next time.